Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. We're back in the creative world and doing some more building. And behind us we've got the last build that we did, which was in the last video, so please check that out if you haven't already. But in this video we're actually going to be doing something a little less fiery, a little bit more cool. Maybe even something that could put the fire out, who knows. I wanted to experiment with some more movement, which I've been doing lately, as well as some lighting. But I wanted to try a different type of movement than the fire that I'm usually used to. Something a bit more flowy, a little bit more like water. So without further ado, let's go straight into the time lapse and I'll talk a little bit about the build once it's over. Let's go. So here is our final build. I hope you can see what it is. I mean, sometimes when you're looking at builds like this for too long, they kind of morph into something else. But what this is meant to be is going too fast, is a wave crashing into a house. So I was trying with some realism in terms of the water, which was a bit different and something I haven't really done before. I used some reference images, but there wasn't actually a reference like specifically about a wave crashing into a house that I could find at least. So I went through some like lighthouses and different things like that to just go off of those waves, and I went by the colors and the basic shape. I hope this does look like a wave as well, because sometimes when I'm looking at a build for too long it genuinely just stops looking like what I thought it was. So I hope this still tracks out. So let's talk about the wave. Over here, it was a lot of block spam. You can even see I didn't finish the back, but again, it's meant to be viewed from here. I mean, it's not really an accessible house. I wouldn't call this a base. I'd call this like, yeah, just a one-dimensional kind of build. You're supposed to look at it from a front angle, whether it be, you know, slightly to the side or, you know, slightly off, but mostly by the front. And we've even got the big background to show that. So the wave itself was a lot of block spam with a certain color. I think I did, yeah, the gray concrete powder to begin with, because water for oceans and waves especially, they're a lot darker. Like it's more of a gray color than a blue, and something that's a bit more difficult to get in Minecraft. So I went with a base color of the gray and just tried to get the shape first. So I just like, I don't know, moved the mouse really quickly with the fast place axiom angel place as well, just to get the shape that I wanted. So I kind of split it up into like 3-ish sections. We've got this bottom section here, there's a kind of middle section, and this top part, which is like the biggest part. When I did that afterwards, I kind of looked at the pictures, the references I had of different waves, and saw the colors and how they would be. And it had this kind of, you know, like brownie color near the top next to where the white foam would be. The wave actually crashing into house. And I had to get a bit of an intermediate block between the jungle wood, which was the brown cooler toned wood that I decided to use for that brown color, and the grey concrete, because it's a little bit too harsh together. Now that intermediate block was the pale wood, which worked really well just to mesh it in a little bit more. I also wanted to get more of a cyan color, so I mixed some of the grey glazed terracotta, which has got that little bit of cyan just in it, which gives it a little bit more of a blue color, which helps the overall look of the wave. And even some cyan glass, but all behind grey glass, because the cyan glass on its own is a little bit overpowering in terms of the color. So I was able to mute it down a little bit with some grey glass. Now my favourite part of doing the wave was this crashy bit, because I just spammed a bunch of cobwebs because they work really well for like, they're such a pure white with loads of detail. So they worked really perfectly for this area. And I basically just spammed it in a shape that I wanted. I ended up making the segments a bit too close together. I wanted them to be a little bit more defined, like separately. So before they were all conjoined into one big segment, and I wanted them to be their own thing. So I moved this top part up a little bit, which you probably saw in the time lapse, and then this middle part down and forward, and then I left this bottom part, but I extended the white part more down to the bottom here, just to make these like a little bit separate in their segments, to keep it more interesting and have more of a flowy movement. And speaking of that movement, I originally had this section with all of the cobwebs. They were going a little bit too forward instead of up, because on all the reference images, waves when they crash, they kind of like go up and almost back a little bit. So I had to try and get that replicated and fix that when I noticed it, which I think I did well. I hope so. Now to dull down the harshness of some of the cobwebs, I just spammed basically a bunch of the white glass to smooth it out in places, I guess is the best way to say. And it also helped blend it in a little bit more with the white glass and the grey glass further on. I even added some white concrete bits to add a little bit more thickness to the colour, if that's even a thing, which I don't know if they do that much. I think I added it first to kind of break up where I wanted the colours to be in the build before fleshing out the areas, but maybe they do something. Who knows? We'd only know if we removed it, and I don't want to touch this build, it's too scary. Don't want everything to fall down. I added a bunch of candles at the end to give it a sea spray look, and I also made this whole floor area to glass gradient, just to have like the whole ocean make a bit more sense, you know, in its context. And it makes really cool for shaders because it actually reflects the whole house in the wave, which, I mean, I guess it wouldn't really reflect if this was a wave and an actual ocean, but, you know, it's cool nonetheless. Now, I really like the background. I used a reference of a lighthouse, I think it was, and I guess it was at like a sunset or a dawn, maybe? And I wanted to replicate it because I really liked the colours. Even down here was a really cool addition with just the cyan terracotta, not concrete, which makes it look like the ocean goes on for a lot longer than, you know, obviously it actually does. And that's just by using, I guess, maybe some perspective. I don't know what it would be, but it just looks cool and it fits the build quite well. I had it up too high originally and it kind of blocked out the build. You didn't get the full wave, so I had to move it down a little bit. We've also got the big clouds and the big, you know, sections where the shadows would be. Anyway, the coloring is just really cool. It's like a seaside sunset, maybe a storm is coming in, who knows. Because I used more warmer toned, I think, or yellow toned, it helps the wave like stand out just a little bit more, which I think is really cool. Now the house itself, I did add some little force lighting because, I mean, it would be casting a shadow with that much water. Just very basic, use some spruce wood instead of the mangrove wood, and then some spruce wood instead of the oak or the birch. Even added some buttons to kind of have the sea spray, I guess, giving a little bit of a shadow as well. And there's nothing in the house. I mean, it's not really accessible, it's not really meant to be. And we've got a lovely little window, which it just adds it. I guess it shows it more that it's a house. And I added a little trim, which was white down here, to bring it more connected with the white foam sea spray, which I think is probably the highlight of the build, the main focus. And I wanted to help bring it down a little bit to the house down there. And one other thing that I forgot to mention, I added a little cyan glazed terracotta down here, which is really hard to use normally in Minecraft, but it helped blend it a little bit more with the bottom because I had a really big struggle because there's a glass gradient. It just chopped itself up. So I had to try and figure out how to make it look really connected to the ground in a way. And the cyan glazed terracotta actually helps with that. It's not perfect still, but you know, I'm happy with it. And that's all that matters. Now again, as I said, not perfect, but considering it's my first like wave build realism with water, I'm pretty proud of it. I'm pretty happy with what I've done. And I could spend more time polishing it and trying to make it look even better, but you can never really reach perfection, I feel like. It's just, you'll be constantly striving for it. Always finding something different to not like. And I like this build. I'm happy with it. So I won't touch it too much more. I do want to continue this background just a little bit more, I think. Just a little. But yeah, I think that's about all I have to say about this build. I hope you like it. I hope you enjoyed it. You can see I'm still in my green skin from Big Bakery 72-hour build event, which was very recent and very fun. I did a live stream. I thought I was going to do more, but I kind of just got locked into the zone of building, you know, and hanging out with friends, which was really fun. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed the build, the video, the time-lapse, everything. If you have any more ideas for what I should build next, chuck them in the comments, and I'd love to try and build them soon. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video. Join up on the Discord if you're not in there already. Lots of pretty cool people in there. Well, I think so at least. And I try my best to post any builds that I don't quite post online, or a little bit of sneak peeks here and there. And I also love to see any of your builds and, you know, help if I can, if questions are asked. But yeah, that's about all we've got time for. Thank you again for being here. I appreciate all of you, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.